Welcome to the Lovecars On The Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of Lovecars On The Grid, your global motorsport podcast roundup. And it's still kicking off with Formula One and the FIA. I saw your tweet, Tiff, Needell. You're ruffling a few feathers, but I think
I've been fired up again. But first though, I mean, the big news from last weekend. Did you hear that Max Verstappen has lost the Le Mans 24 Hours virtual race? It was great of him to do it, though. He was leading. He was the star of the show, and his team were out front. In the middle of the night, he was too aggressive over the curbs. You see, Max, you're too aggressive. Those guys lost control, took two wheels off the car, and had to retire. So Max didn't win the 24 hours, the virtual 24 hours of Le Mans. And in fact, British driver Oliver Rowland was part of the four-man team that won it, along with a Brazilian F2 driver, Felipe Drugovic, and a couple of gaming superstars. But it's incredible. They had a full commentary for 24 hours, and the skill of doing that. I mean, you know me, I crash after about 4 laps on those simulators. But it's great that Max had a go. Wow. It's a shame that he crashed out, but Oliver Rowland benefited. But yeah, going back to this Masi thing, I mean, I've been keeping a bit quiet because I've been waiting. We've had this time. First of all, last week they told us, Toto had just had the meeting finally with Vince Lyman, started talking about it, but this is, 4 weeks after the event. I thought Masi would, hand in his resignation the day after, and now these little Sky Zoom meetings appeared, and to me they're a real smokescreen, almost softening us all up to have to accept that Masi will be back. And
of course he's going to be back. And you know what? He'll come back as the victim. He'll say, and they'll say, "Oh, we've had such a torrid time, and there's so many trolls, and people are being so nasty. They're being nasty."
But he made so many mistakes last year. He brought the whole sport into disrepute. One of the biggest challenges. And in the Zoom meeting, they had, first of all, Johnny Herbert was pushed out, the cheeky chappy, who said, "Oh, of course he's going to be sacked. Of course he's going to be sacked. He can't continue. He's lost the trust, and you can't have." And he said all these good words, and he said, "But I can't think of anybody to take his place." Then they moved to the middleman, Damon Hill. The Hill was also, it was all wrong, and but really, it's a difficult job, and I can't really think of anybody. Then they move on to Martin Brundle, the super serious Martin. And they're sort of like trying to tell us it's all too complicated for us fans. And he gives this big chat about it's very complex doing 23 Grand Prix. It's a difficult job, and there's nobody else there that can do it. So my simple tweet, which got so much reaction, was that, so hold on a minute, if Masi had caught COVID, they couldn't run the Grand Prix because there's nobody else that could do that job. I mean, they must have someone.
Let me tell you a phrase. This is a beautiful phrase. The graveyard is full of indispensable people. We all think we're indispensable, but of course we're not. If something happened, God forbid, to Masi, or whether he's ill or COVID or whatever, life would go on. Formula One wouldn't end if Michael Masi suddenly said, "Actually, you know what? I can't come back."
I don't want to do it.
And that tweet, I saw that tweet. I think it's had nearly 4,000, over 4,000 likes. Because on it. Damon Hill responded to.
Damon did respond, but Damon just sort of said, "I vote for you." I mean, Damon still. Because anyone inside the FIA and Formula One must know that there is a deputy there in case Masi fell down the stairs. They can't have gone to a Grand Prix with nobody else able to do that job. Martin said, that if you get rid of Masi, it won't fix the underlying problem.
It will. He was inept. He was completely wrong. He had a monumental mistake, an error in the final race, but he made lots of mistakes and errors in lots of the races. But there was a monumental error. I mean, and it have massive consequences, and it's not about Lewis or Max and us.
I know exactly.
We would be saying exactly the same if it was the other way around. Exactly the same.
Not trying to change the result. All right, okay, it's over. Max is a very deserving champion. Lewis would have been a deserving champion. Both would deserve to be champion. We're not trying to change the result. We're just trying to get some credibility back to the public. That can't believe that someone could have made. Earlier in the season, he said, "Well, the pace car must continue until everybody's lapped," and then he made a mistake in Brazil when they didn't think Max was doing anything wrong, and he's made so many errors. And then, out in in Abu Dhabi, you know, when he's one lap, he says, you know, there will be no overtaking by lap cars. Next lap, 3 cars can overtake, but not the car in between Max and Sainz. So Sainz didn't have a chance to race, but Max did. I mean, but
we know, everybody agrees, Max fans, Lewis fans, it was a farce. We know that. Yeah. And it's even more of a farce now that we're not doing something about it. But the great news is, on March the 18th, so only about 4 months after the incident, we'll get it announced what the final decision will be.
March the 18th.
Amazing. March the 18th, 4 months after, because they've had to cool down for Christmas and whatever. 4 months for some sort of announcement on this.
Well, next week, January the 19th, they've got a discussion about safety car procedure. The other thing about it annoys me, because they think it's an American entertainment thing. We must have racing across the line. Well, the Indy 500 has finished under pace car, safety car, several times. You know, that's America's biggest race. You know, I mean, Americans obviously introduced pace cars. Almost it's something that the Formula One reluctantly follow. They call them safety cars instead of pace cars, you know. But you know, NASCAR have got their green, white checker, so they do extra laps and extra laps. Well, Formula One couldn't do that; they'll run out of fuel. But you know, there is no other way. If you're going to have safety cars or pace cars, you know, they have to run their time on the track, and if it coincides with the finish. Remember, Bernie had that because Bernie didn't like it either, and he changed the safety car ending line, not to start finish, but just before the last corner. So that if it happened that a pace car was still out on the last lap, they'd all accelerate to the last corner at racing speeds. At least it would look better. But I don't know. It's just crazy. Actually, one thing, if you want to look at BBC's, it's Andrew Benson, who writes for the Times Motor Carlo. So he's written a brilliant article, really good. If you want to go to BBC News or bbcsport.com, and he's come up with 2 really good candidates. He's actually named names that could do the job. Hello, Martin. Hello, Dane. Hello, Johnny. Read that. But it's coming. He's going to stay. It's going to cause...
He is going to stay. There's something about... I've got a final word on Formula One. Well, 2 words, actually. My crack. That's all I got to say about it. My crack.
What? Yeah, what?
Well, just a bit of Formula One news. Mike Crack has obviously just been appointed as head of Aston Martin.
Michael Crack.
No, it's not Michael. It's Mike. It's definitely not Michael. His name is Mike. So Mike Crack, congratulations.
That's what those phone-in spoofs, isn't it?
Oh, who's there?
Sorry, Mike. That's you. That's Paul. That's not me.
I'm not apologising. I'm just saying congratulations to Mike Crack.
He'll say hello, Tiffany Dell. I'm sure he'll be back at it.
Tiffany Dell, exactly. So Formula One, what's happening? Let us know what you think below, because we're fascinated. If you're listening to some podcast and you get a chance, go on Twitter or go on.
Even
Twitter.
Better.
We both got verified this week. 2 very worthy candidates. I've never tweeted.
Finally got
I think I tweeted once in the last 5 years, and I got a blue tick, and you got a blue tick, and you're a bit more deserving.
If anyone out there works at Formula One inside the Grand Prix and knows what would have happened if Masi had fallen down the stairs, who would have run a Grand Prix last year? We'd love to know that, because there seems to be the door closed from those that do know that we've contacted so far. So
and remember,
someone somewhere.
One of the best quotes you'll ever hear. It's not mine, sadly, but I will quote it again. The graveyard is full of indispensable people. Nobody is indispensable. We all think we are, but we're not. Let's move on. Let's move on to Dakar, because that was really exciting. I
watched it. I mean, just the pictures. Just ended last weekend, and Sam Sunderland, it was amazing at bikes. I mean, they were both dropping 5 minutes, gaining 5. He was the leader, then he was second, then he was third, then he was leader, and leader. And but great for Britain that Sam Sunderland came through his second win on the bikes. I mean, just amazing results and pictures. And our other 3 Brits, we only had about 10 Brits in the whole 100, as I mentioned when it all started 2 weeks ago. So I've been keeping in touch with other bike boys. David McBride, an excellent 47th. Dave Mabbs, 94th, and Simon Hewitt, 111th. And to show how tough it is for privateers like those boys, Simon Hewitt in 111th was 74 hours behind Sam Sunderland. You know, the struggles they go through. I love those Dakar heroes. You see them digging it out and repairing the bikes,
and to put it into
absolutely
context,
amazing. So
the privateers will be turning up to their tent absolutely exhausted, having food, sleeping for a few hours, and doing it all over again. and the teams will be, nice little massage and food waiting for them.
It's almost bigger congratulations to McBride, Mabbs and Hewitt for finishing that most amazing event. The cars, of course, Nasser Al Attiyah kept going. Virtually had the race won, in fact, from to word go, apart from a rear differential scare at one stage. But the others all lost so much time early on. And he took his Toyota, his fourth win. He's done it 18 times now, the Dakar. Nasser, wow. A great character on the Dakar. And that's his second for Toyota, his fourth win overall. We did have a Brit on the podium because Michael Orr guided Yazid Al-Raji to third. So that was about our only Brit, I think, in the cars, apart from the bowler crew. They're in their own class, right? And they're in the open class, and they were second out of the 5 running in that class. Only 3 finished the open class. The bowler boys got there, and they were 139 hours off the leaders. 139 hours.
But they won their class.
They won. Well, no, they're second in their class.
They're second class. And there's a nice bowler video on our YouTube. If you haven't seen it already, with Ben Collins Stig.
Yeah.
So have a check that out. Bowler.
Sebastian Loeb, second for Pro Drive. Audi was so impressive. I mean, they all lost them. Well, the 2 of them lost time on navigation on that first day, and Petter Hansel ripped a corner off. But they were so quick, and they looked great.
They looked amazing.
And Dave Richards, funny enough, with his own. What do they call these cars? X races, the Pro Drive cars. And Sebastian Loeb finished second in. He's saying unless they actually slow them down, we remember the beginning of the rally, Carlos Sainz was moaning that the Audis didn't have enough power. Dave Richards said unless they slow them down, they will dominate next year. And they did look, incredibly complex car. Audi said this is the most complex, motor racing vehicle they've ever made. It's got this 2-litre turbo that just kicks in whenever needed, charges the battery, keeps the battery charged up all the way through. So
incredible.
Amazing from Audi, incredible, debut.
And it's the type of thing that we can expect to see on the roads. Although this is, this is a motorsport podcast, but if the UK government has said that we've got to have electric cars by 2030, but why don't they just say that cars are going to be carbon neutral or completely, and then these manufacturers, the innovation that the likes of Audi, Mercedes, all these manufacturers have, let them sort the problem out. Don't dictate to them about they have to be electric cars, but because look at
hybrids with green fuel. they're manufacturing fuel now, and there's lots that can be. Everyone's trying to rush us into all electric too quickly. It's coming, but other Brits. We've got to give unmentioned the other few Brits on the Dakar. Tom Bell came 7th in the light prototypes, those little buggy looking things. So well done to him. And then the classics was Richard Warts and Nicholas Shackleton in the classic race, finished 116th in their Mitsubishi Pajero. I don't know whether she's related to Shackleton. That'd be a great story.
Wouldn't it ever?
I don't know whether she is or not, but so anyone that finishes that event, huge congratulations. And I just love watching it. I thought it was brilliant.
Been watching a bit of Shackleton recently with old Tenzing Norgay as well. Very fascinating. But we digress. What's coming up? Monte Carlo Rally coming up.
Yeah, quick mention before we go on to that. Quick mention Dubai, that 24-hour race, amazing. 87 cars, the 24-hour race. No good news for the Brits out. But Audi were 1-2, Mercedes 3rd to 5th. There were only, quite 7 British drivers out of the 320 in the race. So that Vanutech, whatever the word is, series is very much a European series, and it's full of French and Dutch and Belgians. But we had just 7 British drivers. We did have Philip Quaife was part of the team that won the GT3 Pro-Am in 8th overall. John Logie was 2nd in that GT3 Am in 9th overall. And Stuart Hall was part of the team that won the GT4 with 30th overall in Mercedes. All in Mercedes, that lot. So at least we had 3 Brits on podiums out of 7 drivers. So we didn't do too bad. But yes, rallying you mentioned. And yes, the big build-up this week for this amazing the 90th Monte Carlo Rally.
Wow.
And it's, it's these new cars, these new hybrid cars. It's going to be fascinating to see. There's 11 of these RC1 cars. Privateers can't buy these factory cars. It's just the 3 factory teams, the Toyotas, the Hyundais and Fords. And of course, we've got Sebastian Ogier, coming back to do one with Toyota. We got Sebastian Loeb getting the sand out of his ears and to do a one-off with Ford, or he's going to do more. Craig Breen, the Irish boys in Ford, Gus Greenspeed from Britain in the Ford, Funo, the French guy. Hyundai, they've all got kids as well, because Hyundai got Oliver Solberg, 20 years old, going through ice and snow in Monte Carlo. And Toyota have got Kalle Rovanperä, 21-year-old. But of course, the big one for us, the Toyotas, is Elfyn Evans, who's missed the championship twice on the trot. And he's back for another season with Toyota. What I don't know, if Ogier is not doing the whole season and they're running 1-2, is Ogier going to do team orders to let Elfyn win? That's going to intrigue me how that's going to turn out. And again, with Craig Breen and Sebastian Loeb, Loeb's not doing them all. Hyundai have the same tier, Neuville, Tanak, and that, as I said, Oliver Solberg. But these cars, I mean, they've got this hybrid that apparently gives an extra 100 horsepower, taking up to 500. But all the drivers, it's very complex. They're having to work out and testing how they're going to drive these things. Because you start from service with a full battery. So you can launch off the line with your 500 horsepower. But then, of course, it drains the battery and your hybrid disappears. And it says the more you then brake, the more battery you'll get back. So you can have more 100 horsepower boosts. But that sort of goes against what you're doing as a driver. It almost sounds like you're going to have to brake more than you would normally. So you fill your battery up. Then when you come out of the hairpin, you'll have some boost. So they've almost got to change the whole way they drive in many respects. So reliability is probably going to be a problem running these new hybrids. But they're, manual gear shift, which I quite like. That's good. No clever centre diff. So some bits have gone back a bit to put the driver more in control. But I'm fascinated. I think, it's going to be a good series. And we saw called Craig Breen. You see that shunt he had in testing?
I didn't see.
Oh, go to YouTube for that one. I mean, these rally cars now, and I've almost said they're too quick. They just go through these. He's out testing in the Alps, and it's bits of snow and ice, and he's on it, and he's going through these incredible speeds. It's just like as if on rails. But then he just clipped a little wall on the left in an S bend, bounced him into the cliff on the right, and put him down into the ravine through the trees. So, I mean, it's just a tiny, tiny error. The speeds they do is just frightening. But you have to forget, that's the 11s. There's 11 cars about winning, but there are 75 cars on the rally, and you always forget there are so many different classes and people trying to win. But the only other Brits in the race, very much Italians and French, filling it out with their regular, because they do a lot more road rallying than we have in Britain. And it actually shows how bad we are in Britain for, not producing future stars. But Chris Ingram, we mentioned before last year, he's back again with his faithful mate Ross Whittack in their Skoda. He's in the RC2 class, so he's the only other Brit in it. So we should be looking out for
Chris
him. Chris comes forward,
well.
Give him a. How to watch? I don't know. Fun Thursday night it starts till Sunday afternoon. WRC.com everyone raves about.
You don't need to watch it. Just listen to this next Monday. That's all you need to do. Forget
BT Sport, ITV4, both
Live Motorsport's overrated. Just listen to this wrap up on a Monday evening.
Those rally boys are bad. I
mean, they got big cojones, those boys. Big cojones. Lots of skill as well. Formula One testing. Where's the Formula One testing, Tiff?
No, it's not. I was thinking it was sooner than it is. It's February the 27th, 23rd. I thought it was January 23rd for a moment.
I put it in the notes. You're trying to catch me out on that one.
No, it was all the launches. They're now doing the big press release. You now have a press release to launch the date of the launch.
Okay, we need to get on it. We need to be more formal, like the FIA, like Formula One. And on that note, that's kind of it, isn't it? It's not the most exciting of weekends, but the FIA, let us know what you think below and on the old Masi saga. And if you've got anything you want us to cover, as always, let us know in the comments below. Get involved. Get amongst the comments. See you next week.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.